Does suffering actually make you stronger, or is it just something we tell ourselves so we can get through it? For many of us, walking through addiction, pain wasn't a lesson, it was a weight, a cycle we couldn't break. Strength felt like something other people had. Welcome to Pit to Purpose. I'm your host, Cody, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jordan, Jamit, Derek, and Jermaine. This is a space for honest conversations about addiction, brokenness, and redemption. Because maybe suffering doesn't make us stronger on its own. Maybe it's faith. Something bigger than us that meets us in the pit, carries us when we can't carry ourselves, and turns pain into purpose. Not because we're strong, but because we don't have to rely only on our own strength anymore. So, fellas, right off the bat, what does that first question really say to you guys? Like, does suffering actually make you stronger?
I think to some degree, if it wasn't for the growing, like there's a reason why it's called like growing pains, right? Like we have to experience, whether it's the trials and tribulations or just those early stages. I'm going to frame it through the concept or through the perspective of recovery, but it's like if it weren't for those early stages, if I didn't experience all of the hardships, like if the worst I had to experience was a hangover, just a hangover, I'd probably not have come to the realization that I needed to get help. And then thus, having received help and having come to this walk of life, I'm stronger because of it. So I don't think it I think it's down the road, and hindsight being 2020, I can look back and be like, it's part of my strength journey, so to speak.
Yeah, I like to look at it like when you go to the gym, you got to break down your muscles for them to grow bigger, right? And I think in the same sense, that's what happens with life. The things that break you down, it's the way you bounce back is going to decide on whether you grow from it or not. I don't think anybody grows strong from just coasting on an easy life, right? It's the things that break us that make us, right? I like that.
Yeah, I think when you're in your pit, when you're deep in it and you're grinding each day to get through each day, you're not thinking, man, one day this is gonna make you stronger. Like, you don't think about that at all, man. You're just living day after day. Like, for me, it was Groundhog Day, man. But now that I look back, I can definitely pull things from that part of my life that I can think about and realize that I did learn from it and I did get stronger.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it can make you stronger, but it can also kill you too, right? Like, a lot of people don't make it out.
That's right.
Well, I guess, yeah, like the way I look at it is you don't see too much opportunity when you're in your addiction. Like, you're just like, oh man, like I got to get up and go to work, for like the lame example of it, right? Like, you're not seeing that as like, even when it's hard, I'm going to benefit through this. You're seeing it as like, gosh, I got to do this again, or however it makes sense in that way. Like, I think of it now that, I'm on the walk of faith, that I do see it as like almost an opportunity when things are a struggle. That's either God testing me or like, which he does, right? It's not supposed to be easy in the thing in all the way through life. It's not just, I came to God and things are good now, right? Like, there's these opportunities put in front of us to grow in that faith, to realize, okay, through him, I can actually get through this and come out the other side stronger. So that's kind of how I feel about it anyways.
Yeah, it's that confidence bit. It's that, like, I may not see a direct answer or solution to this problem, but whereas that would have crippled me either emotionally or like mentally before, there's kind of like that buffer zone, and it's like, it's not just my fallibility that, as things arise these days, it's not just like my flawed state that things have to flow through. It's just like, I do have an option to turn to God about things, and oftentimes it's better, as a result.
Yeah, I think God definitely gives the possibility of our suffering making us stronger. I know, like in the pits, like when, like waking up depressed every single day, right? Shit like that. Like, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to make me stronger. I was like, man, I want this to end, if anything. Like, in my darkest moments, I was like, I'd rather just this end.
Not wake up one morning.
And I'll wake up this morning, honestly, because a lot of times I wanted that, but I just didn't have the balls to do it, right?
Just waking up depressed in the drunk tank, broke. Yeah. Not knowing how you're going to make it from downtown. And the first thought that enters your brain is just like, you know what? This is going to help somebody someday.
That that's totally. It's kind of a good time. Can you guys think of a time when you were tested, or maybe you could even like do it something recently now where you've been going through something and then you get through to the other side and you're like, oh man, now I learned something. I learned something through that, or I got closer to God through that.
Kinda. I mean, so yeah, kind of with God. Like I pray a lot at work, but kind of this is more about just like seeing. I wouldn't have noticed this in like a previous walk of life. I probably would have been hungover, or I just wouldn't have cared enough. But we got this young kid at work, and I said it kind of in jest this morning, but the more I ponder on it, I really believe it. The kid's like 18. This is his first job. And there's been days where it's cold, and I want to quit. Like I do not want to be there. And I'm like, I'm just gonna like hang up my tools and leave. And then I'll look over the job site, like across the job site, and like in that moment, it's like, okay, God, like give me a sign. And then I see this kid. I'm not gonna say his name, but it's like his first job. He's green as all get out, and I see him. And he's just like multiple 2x4s on his shoulder, trudging through the snow and the mud. And he's just gunning it. And I'm like, man, this kid's 18 years old. I've almost lived his life twice. It's just 3 years shy. And it's like, there's my sign. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's like that temporary pain in the moment, that momentary pain is, it's eclipsed by what it can be. Like it God helps me. It's like humbling to like look at someone younger and be like, oh man, I should probably be emulating that more.
Okay, I like that.
Skills. Because his work ethic is unparalleled. He might not be the brightest dude.
No, his work ethic. That how often do you see that these days?
Yeah, all right, well, doing good. That's so good.
I give him credit for just showing up every day. That's tough. It's a tough job, man. Most people aren't cut for it. Like I know there you go, story after story of seeing how God, redeemed my suffering into making me stronger where I am today. But then I think back like the pinnacle where like everything started to change. So like a lot of people listening won't know, but like I got arrested for bank robbery, right? And that was definitely in the depths of my addiction. And I'm sure that story will come out, but basically like that whole fiasco, which led me going to jail, looking at numerous years, I felt like my life was done. That was it. I was going to spend the next 7 years in prison. But God took me doing that, crime, and turned it into opportunity to come back to Him, and which just led me here. Honestly, it led me here to the Calgary Dream Center in the short of things, and to give me a second shot at life, and Fred didn't go through that darkness, of addiction, of jail, of, breaking down and just begging him for a second shot. And it wanted to let me here doing this right now. So, yeah, that's good.
I feel like fiasco as a word is always like really like underused or like underplayed, but like just a full on in the grips of addiction bank robbery. It's like,
it's funny you picked up on that word. I was going to be like, bad fiasco, word of the day. That's so right, because I could count so many different fiascos that I went through in my addiction. But what I'm talking about is something that I see that I got some growth through is when I first came into the 90-day program, there was a gentleman who came into the building the same day as me, and he just absolutely drove me crazy. And I mean, that's not a unique experience for this building. We're not going to get along with everybody that comes in here, but there was just certain things about this man that pushed every single button I had, in the wrong way. And this is like, as I'm starting my faith journey, and then we're told that we have to love others. And as I get into this, I'm like, man, how am I supposed to love this guy? And I started praying. I started to be able to, and through that prayer, like, I was just like, hey, give me the strength to, not react, not snap out, not do something that could ultimately sacrifice my stay here at the Calgary Dream Center, right? That could affect my recovery. So through that, when I started to pray, I actually showed him a bit of love. Like, there was an instance where he got his cell phone that he'd had the whole time taken away. We're not allowed cell phones in the 90-day program. And then we were talking. He was saying, I don't think I need this place anymore. I think I got this down. I think I'm ready to go. I'm curious, and I'm great. And so that's the first, like, that's called the pink club. And, once you think you've got it, that's when it's going to sneak up behind you and bite you in the butt. So I challenged him on that. I said, I don't think that's the case, man. I think you should stick it out here. I think there's more of an opportunity for growth. Like, is it just because you don't have your phone anymore and you're feeling challenged by this place? Is that why? And then he's like, no, man, I can get my phone whenever I want and do all this stuff. And so he actually ended up faking a doctor's thing, going to the hospital and taking an 11-hour day with his phone, and ended up going out and drinking. So this is the kind of guy that was testing me. Like, I was pretty serious about my recovery. And then through prayer, I actually tried to help him, and it got a little bit easier. And in the end, it ultimately went that way. But like, this is something that I would have just been totally dysregulated with for a long time, or every day that would have just ate me up. And it did for days until I started praying about it. So through that time, that was a time of learning about how to deal with other people that you might not see eye to eye with. And that was kind of an opportunity for growth on my end. So,
I think that there needs to be a sufficient amount of suffering, because it's like, if just a few days, right, of drying out, get some food in my system, I'm sleeping, I'm clothed, or probably had a shower in like how many ever like days or weeks this guy was around. If that's enough to pink cloud what was happening, it's like that pain and suffering needs to be sufficient enough that it's like, and equated to something that it's like, I can't return back to that. Like, I hear it in the rooms all the time that, like, before I like kind of stopped going to 12-step fellowships, but it was just like, I for sure have another relapse in me, right? Like, I think everybody has, and anybody could just pick up, right? And that's the insanity of it, is that we make that decision sober. But it's like, I don't know if I have another recovery in me. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, that's like on the mortal plate of existence, like the survival side of things, or even if just like my spirit could withstand it.
Yeah.
That's what's insane to me.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, I don't, the spiritually, man, try to bounce back from that at this point, for me, would be like devastating. And I think back to all the times I should have died, countless nights. And obviously, like, that's divine intervention. That's God watching out for me, That's all I mean. It's got a higher calling on my life than to go out in some stupid drunk night like that, right? Try overdosing, like anything like that.
What else could it be? Like, statistically speaking, like the amount of things that happened, right? Like, whether it was like just the amount being used, and organ failure and bodily function just not being able to sustain itself on cocaine and whiskey.
Yeah.
Right? Or like
McDonald's
McDonald's cheeseburgers. Like, last time I checked, like, none of those really are on the food groups.
Yeah. They're not sustaining you to, like, but there's something there was something there that got us through to those points, right? Like, yeah, I think like something to do with it on my end was actually how many people that I had outside of it praying for me. Like, I think that there's a big powerful thing in prayer. Like, I talked to my grandma when I was home for Christmas, and she's like, you don't know how long I've been praying for you to get better and then start going to church. Like, she's just the relief to see that on a woman in her 80s that has watched her grandson struggle for that long. That was such a huge win. I just want to go back to what Jordan was saying, like when so I'm losing my train of thought, but like when you relapse every time, it gets more and more difficult. And they say like it happens faster, your body's dried out. Like, there's a lot of people that pass away on their first use after taking time off. I'm not going to go into that one so much, but it's like when you go back to it, think about what it would be like now after starting this, after we having this brotherhood that we built on each other. You ultimately, recovery is for yourself first, but think about how much guilt and shame you would feel for, letting each other down, and then that on top of yourself, and then somehow having to find your way back to the place where you feel comfortable enough to be around these guys, because the shame and the guilt is just so bad. It just piles right up, right? Like, you guys know what I'm saying?
The amount of shame that I had from everything I did and enduring my addiction was pretty immense. And I think what you're talking about, if that happened, a relapse for me, I think that shame would be tenfold.
Yeah.
Soul crushing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even imagine. I couldn't like look at you guys. Like, this is my first time in recovery, man. That a relapse would just, I don't know what I would do, man. And I would run away. I don't know. It would be soul crushing. Like, I couldn't live with myself. I thought I couldn't live with myself before. Like, I don't know what that would do with my relationship with God. I'd be like an ultimate failure, worse than I was in my addiction then.
Yeah. And you know what the crazy thing is about that is that it wouldn't be the truth. Like, we would lean on each other and try to get you back and support you, but your brain would be like, oh man, I got to isolate. Like, I got to stay far away from these guys because I'm ashamed and broken down. And realistically, like from the experiences that, the guys would be there for each other.
That's the lie that Satan tells you, because God's love, you guys would be there for me if that ever happened. But I wouldn't feel like that. But you guys, and with God's love, you guys would definitely welcome me back with open arms. But that's why they call him the deceiver.
And
Yeah, that's a tough one. It'd be more so like feeling all the people I let down, like after everything, God's done for me, or I'm at, just like how to show face after that would be tough. I don't know. That's something that I try not to think too much into, and I'm happy that my mind doesn't go there too often.
It hurts just to think about it right now.
Yeah, when you said that, oddly enough, out of all of the things that could have came into my mind, because I've got relationships with family now. I got relationships with you guys now. I got there's the quality of life that stemmed from this time in recovery. It's not my first time in recovery, but the quality of life is much greater. And for whatever reason, when you said that, the image that came up in our head was our pastors, Pastor Craig and his wife. And because this is my third time here, I did program back in like 2022, came back a couple of years later, left in May, and then came back when you, Cody, met me. And then shortly after, I got involved with like the Brother of Christ meeting. And when I left program to move to BC, it was like I was doing Proverbs with Pastor Craig and kind of like, case manager, and him and other people were like, oh, are you ready? And I was like, yeah, I got this. And then they're like, okay. And then I remember just things went bad, and I'm out in the woods in BC with my dog, and I'm drunk off a bottle of scotch, and I called my case manager back, and I'm just sitting there crying on a log next to the river. And I'm like, I need to come back. And he's like, you do need to like probably come back. He's like, we can't guarantee you a spot right now. There's a waiting list, but like first things first, get back to Calgary. And then I came back, and I like completed a school program, got an all right job, like moving very fast. In that amount of time, I took recovery more seriously, but I didn't take connection seriously at all. I was not in my faith walk at all. And like in that time, I had accomplished more in my adult life professionally than I ever had. So I was like, oh, I got this. And then I left, same story. I come back, and then this time Jordan's here and he's like, hey, do you want to like come check out some things? And then talking with Stephanie and Craig after, and then they're like, so why do you think, like, what's going to change this time? And it's like, well, the only thing I haven't tried yet. It's like, of course, for me, I had to touch the iron to know it's hot. It's the last house on the block, but it's like, I think I'm going to give you guys this Jesus thing a chance. So the reason that came into my mind is that, like, if it were to go south now, it's like, I feel like again, like Derek said, it's like the deceiver type thing, but it's like, I would really, truly feel like I am on my own. Like that it's like, I messed up now. I screwed the pooch now because it's, and then I would probably delude myself into thinking that like, oh, God couldn't save me. Like even God couldn't do it this time. But it's like, I gotta kind of meet God halfway.
Yeah.
Like he's there in the spiritual realm, but it's just like, I have to open up the Bible. I'm not just going to intuit a Bible verse I've ever read before. It's not just, you know what I mean? I don't quite think like God works like that, at least not in my life, right? I'm not like, you hang out in a barber shop long enough, you're going to end up getting a haircut. So it's just like, yes, he's not focusing my mind, and I'm not cripplingly addicted to alcohol the way I was before. It's not my every waking thought, but also I probably shouldn't go and like hang out in a bar.
Yeah.
For all hours on end.
Yeah, sure. I like that, kind of leads into this verse here, Romans 5:3-5. We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation, and this hope will not lead to disappointment. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It's like anything that is put before you in this path is meant to happen, and accepting that, knowing that you're supposed to go through this. This isn't somebody else's doing to you. This is a part of what God has planned for you. And getting through that, you ultimately gain said endurance or the hope of salvation, instead of just, what will we have done through our addiction? Probably went and got a bottle, right? And then ran away from the conflict or the challenge and trial that's in front of you. That's kind of,
which in turn would make us weaker, right? Whether weaker spiritually, weaker morally, how we decided to get the bottle, right? We might not. I mean, I've stolen a few liquor bottles in my life. Makes us weaker, right? Lessens our endurance, diminishes our strength of character, and then we get further and further away from that mark. If we're missing the mark, we're now leagues away from where the target is, and the target's like Christ-centered life.
It's a weird way to spin this. Endurance develops strength of character. Well, we endured addiction for a long time. And another way to look at that is perseverance. Did you persevere through your addiction? Isn't that a weird way to say it, though?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, kind of just stumbled through my addiction. Not dealt through my addiction. We call that perseverance, I suppose.
I was out at my previous treatment center. This is when I was like 30. I went back for a 1 month refresher. One of the counselors there, you do a life map, which is like a gauntlet here, where you tell your story to the guys in program and any of the staff that's on shift at that point in time. One of them used resilient as the description to me, or to how to talk about what I had gone through. She's like, you seem like you've been really resilient because you've always went down and then tried to crawl back up, and down and try to crawl back up. And I think there's something to be said for that. Like, all four of us are sitting here, we didn't totally fold, right? Like, I mean, sure, could I have tried harder in a lot of ways? Absolutely. But, the fact that I knew that I needed to get help eventually, and multiple times through that but I still fell short. I mean, I don't think that I'd be sitting here, you know, being with God and with you guys if I hadn't gotten up and got knocked down, and gotten up and got knocked down so many times.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you just reached a place, or like I think what I'm discerning from that is that you reached a place that was sufficient enough that like when you came to Christ and was able to take that way of life and be like, and see this as an answer, see this as a replacement, it's like, I don't ever want to go back. Right. And it's just like, so it's like then it can look at that like resiliency as like, oh, okay, I wasn't just being resilient. I was like endurance training in the most convoluted, roundabout and destructive way. Right. But like I did endure. And then how that develops into strength of character is like, what do you do with that now? Because like you see all the time, there's like dry drunks out there or whatnot. And they're like, yeah, I'm sober 30 years and oh, my wife better keep it down. It's and it's just like, yeah, okay, like you've endured, you probably went through some hard times, brother, but like your character is, it's like, that's pretty crazy.
It suffered. You put all your energy into just not drinking and not using any of the time to actually grow yourself.
Yeah, I like that. Like you put all of your energy just into not doing this one thing. And it's like, okay, if the goal is to conquer or beat addiction, right? And it's like, if I spend the rest of my life like closing my eyes when I go past a liquor store, or, you know, someone drinks and the smell of it sends me reeling, or I take all my energy and I'm like, oh, just don't drink, snapping the rubber band on my wrist. It's like, am I actually in recovery at that point, or am I just...
Sobriety is different than recovery.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that's where I think faith really is how you grow your character more. Like, just take Proverbs, for instance. How much, if you read that book, how much wisdom there is that's applicable to your day-to-day life, instead of just, you know, white knuckling through staying sober, like we just talked about. Like, you're actually learning about things that can make your character grow. And that's what the Bible does for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like if I'm 20 years sober and I still gotta talk about the demons I'm battling every single day from my drinking, you know, I feel like I missed the mark on something there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's like in Celebrate Recovery, we identify as, you know, followers of Christ who struggle with addiction. And that's because we don't just want to identify ourselves as an addict. Because if that's your identity, man, for the whole, like, forever, I mean, it's okay to remind yourself where you come from every once in a while, but you don't want that to just be the end all be all of what you identify as. Like, a follower of Jesus Christ that struggles with something, you know, like there's the self-validation, addiction, codependency, all these different things. They're stuff that you can work through with Christ, not just something that you have to, this is me. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, I was watching a video that's really good. That actually reminds me, and it kind of it kind of brings me to the next point that I kind of glazed over when we first read this, like the end of this passage. And this may ruffle some feathers for people out there. I know it's divided on the topic, but like I was watching a Charlie Kirk video, and he was like, never say I'm never going to drink again. And he's like, because that's my will. I'm saying that, and it's just like, although I want to never drink again, I want that statement when I say it to be manifest and true. It's like, but it's fallible. I am a human. I'm flawed, and there's no escaping that. So I have to accept that. But it's just like, through Christ and with the help of God, I have faith that if I continue on this journey, there's a really good chance I'll never drink again.
Yeah.
It's just that carries like a lot more hope for me. It's not just resting on my shoulders. And then like with the end of this passage, it's like after we've endured, and after that endurance builds the strength of character, that strength of character then gives us confident hope of what? And it gives us the confident hope of salvation. So it's like if we stay the course, and this goes for anybody. This isn't just the people sitting in this room. This is for the listeners too. It's like if we stay the course, then the end result of that is the salvation that we're promised in the gospel. It's like this all like, yeah, you went through it and it sucked and it hurt and, you know, you lost years of your life and you lost, you know, bouts of your health or what have you. But it's like there is salvation for all of us at the end of it.
Yeah, I like that. You know the saying, if I had $1, like if I had $1 for every time I told somebody I was never gonna drink again, I wouldn't be waking up at 5:30 to go to work. Yeah, it gets to a point where it doesn't even mean anything, right? But thinking back, like since I've started this faith journey in my recovery, I don't think I've ever once said, "Oh, I'm never gonna drink again." It's just kind of like I put it in God's hands, that God's will be done over my life, and I just trust that's gonna happen. I know.
No, man, I never said I'm never gonna drink again. I would wake up feeling like garbage, and what did I do? Looked for a drink. So get it in me. It's gonna make me feel better.
Oh yeah, like looking forward for the Caesars on Sunday, man. But that was to make the Monday twice as bad.
Well, I think that leads into this next point kind of well, because it's like addiction, our addictions, our individual addictions, listeners and stuff. It's like, is it a disease? I know that a lot of places follow the disease model. Is it a choice, right? Because like in that case, like there was a time I wore alcoholism as like a badge of honor. Like you'd be the drunkest one at the little wood at a bar, and they'd be like, "Oh, you've had too much," and be like, "Buddy, I'm having more. Like this is me. I'm here to drink. I came here to do two things: chew bubble gum and drink beer, and I'm haul out of bubble gum."
You know, never in the bubble. I've heard some worse ones than that, but that's good.
You know what I mean? So like, what are your guys' thoughts on like, is disease, in my case alcoholism, but is like drug addiction, alcoholism, porn addiction, what have you, are these afflictions a disease, like a mental illness, right? Because I don't think it's like a disease like cancer is, but is it like a mental illness? Is it a choice, or is it like maybe like a bit of both?
All right, so like this is where I really struggle with it, and like I'm no doctor. I know like medically it's a disease, but so me and my brother, we both come from addiction, right? Like we were both raised the same, you know, same life, same kind of traumas, come from generations of addiction. But me, as where I drink, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict. You know, he drinks and he's a normal person, and you know all of that. So like, where's the switch in that? Like, what's the difference? Why doesn't he have the disease that I have, so to speak, right? I think it's a choice that you make that leads to a disease, right? Like the style of living I grew up, the regulatory drinking, it's all we did. That just kind of snowballed and led into what I became later on years down the road.
You know, I remember when we would party back in the day, and your brother and his friends would like come like kind of hang out with us for the first few rounds, and then they would just have like one or two, and me and you, like we're already a few deep, and then by that point they just start to look at us like we're absolute creatures, and because like we probably were, and then it's like it is, I believe it's a choice, it's a series of choices that develop a dependency, which then leads to other multifaceted things like depression and all these things. And it's kind of like this very chaotic web that gets so tangled up that it's like I now have a physical dependency on it, and I'm emotionally compromised, and my spiritual life is completely devoid and non-existent at this point. And that's when it becomes a disease, because there isn't just like an immediate treatment for it. The immediate treatment for a choice is don't pick up the first drink.
Yeah.
Don't pick up that drug. There's a stoppage there. But it's like once it develops into a disease, the disease of addiction, it's not just a one solution problem anymore. There's so many things, right, that are at play.
Yeah, like with the drugs that we have out there today, I'm pretty sure you could find somebody and say their family has no history of addiction whatsoever, and they're clean as a whistle. But you tell them to go shoot up heroin for 6 days straight, you're going to tell you that they're not going to come out an addict, right? So it might be their choice. That led to their disease limitation.
Yeah, it's something that I kind of I struggle with in the sense like I have always, since I first started drinking, been the guy to drink until there's none left or till however it goes out, right? There's no off switch, but I got buddies or even, family members that are like they can casually drink. So when it first came time for me, like when I had the intervention at the dealership with my boss and my dad and my uncle when I was 23 years old, they were like, "Hey Cody, it's time to go get help," right? And I knew I was screwing up, but it was like I'm like when I went through that 3 months, I definitely wasn't ready to surrender fully like I have now. But I was like, I just want to be the guy that can have one or two drinks. I want to still go to the bar and watch the Oilers game, or I still wouldn't let go of that. So, but I physically can't be that guy. So it's a disease, but I think you're kind of right. Like I would agree with saying that, like, we get to a point where we become dependent. I think that was the key there. But from the minute that I started, I was the guy blacking out at parties all the time. Like it wasn't something, and I mean, addiction is in my genes. Like if the hereditary side has the standing on it, like I definitely on both sides of my family is very susceptible to it.
Yeah.
There's definitely that. But it's just such a difficult thing because I mean you get those people online or people wherever, oh yeah, well you should just quit. Well, sorry, bud. You think if my life would became this unmanageable that I wouldn't like willingly try to get myself through this better? Like I don't think we're inherently bad people or sociopaths that just want to live this life like that, right? Like I think it's got to be a disease just based on my experience that I can't flip and stop.
Yeah, my sister-in-law said that. She's like, well, why don't you just stop? Like, oh.
You don't think I thought that?
Just glorious. Where have you been the past 10 years? Like, this amazing insight. I'll tell you what, I'll just stop and, life will be peachy keen. See you at Sunday dinner. Like, oh my goodness.
No, like, you're right. Now thinking about like my whole drinking and using career, there's never just one or two. It's blackout or back out from the get-go. But
yeah. Sorry, I like this. That's blackout or back. Yeah. Like that's just it, right? Like I remember when I would try, I'd be like, man, this sucks. Like, I'm gonna go have 2 beers. I may as well just had iced tea because now I'm tired, and I just feel like crap. I need to either turn it on or this. I don't like, and that's where it's a problem.
Yeah.
Right, where it's like I gotta get obliterated and stay up till 3 a.m. or 7 a.m, whatever it is, and make my life miserable. I pulled up the definition of a medically thing here as we were looking at it, and it's called alcohol use disorder. And it's like it's a chronic disease characterized by impaired ability to stop or control alcohol use despite adverse social, occupational, or health consequences. I had occupational, social, and health consequences out the yin yang. So, like, if that's what it comes down to, it just became unmanageable, as the AA book would say.
And to everyone out there who like can just socially drink and they don't necessarily subscribe to the whole addiction based thing, it's like hats off to you. I salute you. But then just between us girls here in this room, I don't think I trust anyone who can just go to a bar and spend $12 on a pint and just call it a night. Like that is just a wild mentality.
You probably trust them to like manage your bank account upon as they're like
to need the see. And like, okay, so here's where the social thing for the addiction comes in. It's like I can go to this loud environment and spend $12 on 1 pint of beer. Or I can spend the exact same amount and get some like cheap Luckies and just drink 6 of them in my own squalor in a basement suite with like,
Yeah. I get that. When you got there, keep trying to.
Yeah, no, I was gonna go back to what in the other episode when I said I made a promise to myself where I would never do any hard drugs because I saw it popping up around my friends at parties and stuff, and I'm like, I ain't gonna touch that stuff. I'll give myself one vice, and so I'll drink. Yeah, I'm like, that's easy. I'm not gonna get addicted to, it's not coke, it's not crack, right? So it was a choice at first, and I loved it. I loved drinking. I loved how it felt. And it was like, you go out for wings with the boys, and then you get home, and I would keep drinking. And then it would come up in conversation, and they're like, you kept drinking after you got home? And I was like, yeah, don't you? No, the bed. And I was like, okay, well, that's just me. And then, years go on, and it's a very slow progression of drinking more and more and more. And then it's like, yeah, okay, maybe alcoholism. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can deal with that. Yeah, let's go, whatever. And then it got to a point where it was like physical addiction, like physically addicted, and I could not stop. I had to have alcohol in my system. The shakes were insane, so it was, and then I think that's where they call it an allergy. Yeah. Right. But then it got to a point where I had to have it all the time. And that's when I was like, yeah, okay, I'm an alcoholic and I'm in trouble. Yeah. Like had to, like survival mode all the time, everywhere I went. Yeah. It was like that need, like a desperate need to have it, because I did not want to start to go with the withdrawals.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, I don't know why. Like, maybe God's blessing. I've never like experienced shakes or anything like that, or alcohol withdrawal, which like I have no idea how. It's like I drank, right? But I don't know. Literally, when it was done, like when the bender finally came to an end, I just dry out on my bed and I'll move for a day or two, and then get back at it, kind of thing.
I was a lot similar, whereas like until the very end when I was like daily drinking because I had to, but like even when I would stop and I would still be at work or whatever, I'd be like holding the pen writing a deal, but he kicked away, have to like really make a conscious effort. And that's when I started realizing like, man, this is getting bad. But like, and so even through that, like I used to compare my addiction to other people's, like, I'm not so bad, right? And you can't do that either, else it's just going to give you an out every time, because then you're just going to start comparing yourself to the next worst guy and the next worst guy and the next worst guy. And really, addiction doesn't discriminate like that. It's each individual problem. It affects everybody in their own way. Yeah, like that's it was crazy. Like, and that kind of was still how I was like not letting go. Like, oh, I could hit that rock bottom. Yeah, I could be like, which is,
I just went digging through trash cans for $10.50 worth of bottles to walk to the other side of the neighborhood, cash them in for a cheap Mickey.
yeah.
But it's like, at least I'm not keeled over at the train station doing opiate yoga.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue too. Like, thank goodness I didn't try opioids. Yeah. Or else I wouldn't be here. So like, that drug is like a one and done when we're talking about fentanyl, right? Like, it's so scary, like getting off of that. Like, I've had to witness family members that have struggled with just like oxy withdrawal and like the Suboxone and all that stuff. And it's just like, kudos to everybody that's going out there right now and consciously making that choice to win that fight, to try to battle through that, because it's such an absolute grind. Right? How it takes a hold of your body.
And I think you bring up a good point there. Like, it's that we exist in a society right now where everything's like now, right? We want instant gratification. I feel a little bit of like a dopamine lull, and it's like, I need to pull out my phone now. I need to see like a funny video. I need to see content. I need to absorb something to like not feel that way. Or it's like, I'm hungover, so it's like, I need a drink now, right? And it's like that discomfort that I can't deal with. So it's like God, is he using that discomfort? When what you just said there, it's like some people are using that discomfort and not just going to their next fix. They're using it as a catalyst, because it's like they finally get to a place of clarity or whatnot, or a place of desperation, or that place where they never want to return to again. And they're like, I can go get my next fix. I can go buy that next bottle. But they finally recognize it for the cycle it is. And then the people that are actually out seeking help, it's like, that's when it starts, that's when you start making the choice to combat what's become a disease. Yeah. Right. And kudos definitely to those people.
Yeah, there was a time, it was sometime during the program that I heard the stat that 90% of people that struggle with addiction never even make it through the doors of a treatment center, right? Which is just mind-boggling to think about when that comes up. So
Yeah, I remember the first time you brought that up, and it blew my mind, that number.
yeah, I can't remember where I heard it. It was in one of the classes I got, but I remember it like vividly because I was like, that is a shocking number that just goes to show you that this disease, disorder, whatever you want to call it, is running rampant in our world. It's just, the alcohol being one of the worst drugs that's out there, and it being legal and, societally acceptable. I mean, I'm not saying no more alcohol for anybody, right? There's people that can handle it, but it's just, we need to kind of bring a little bit more awareness to the problems that it can cause for not just like a small amount of people.
Yeah, right. It's insane, man. Like, the drugs are out there in our next level, right? Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I just want to paint a picture for everyone out there about and I haven't even scratched the surface about how horribly deep my addiction was and how bad it was, but like the way that God rescued me and the power of Jesus Christ to pull me out, man, that's the message I want to get across. It is possible. Are we going to go on to the next one? Because that could be...
I was just looking at that. I think we could probably roll another episode just based on that topic. But I get what I was reading down a little bit further, and like, I think the third point down there, guys, like, are we overestimating willpower and underestimating the environment? Kind of goes a little bit into what we're talking about. Like, people are just supposed to change their wills to get better. Ultimately, what I've been learning is that through God's will and submitting my own will, that is the key to having a more full life. Basically, that, he tells us to live a certain way, and the closer we get to doing that, the more well-rounded and fully fulfilled that will become.
Willpower? Do you think willpower got me anywhere?
No, what I'm saying is, I'm saying that instead of my own willpower.
I know, but I'm saying when I tried to sober up on my own and my willpower was like, I told myself, I got to do this. I can do this. I got me like 2 days of running back to the liquor store.
Same. It's like for willpower, like mine left unchecked and unbridled, just operating on full germane frequency. It's like, I equate it to being at work. Like follow this train of thought for a sec. We set up forms, we pour concrete in the forms, an entire building gets built on these forms. Imagine if my alcohol-addled brain just was like eyeballing that wall. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that then creates the foundation for what everything else is built off of. And even if I was so confident I started at like, the perfect angle, and it's just like, if I'm just off 1 degree, 10 years down the road, that wall is miles off. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it's like at work, we use these like little, I don't know, they're like pins, like just off the wall, and they're called like a benchmark. And you take a measurement from the benchmark to the wall. And then you do that every so many feet or every so many yards. And it's just like, Christ should be our benchmark. Yeah, like that. And it's like, and you know what I mean? It's like, and the wall needs to be like, we have turnbuckles that then like suck and push the wall in and out, because it's just like, it's natural. It's human nature. I'm going to deviate from the plan. Yeah. Right. But it's like, there's another benchmark, and it's just like, I don't want, it's like, for me, it's like church just can't be my only benchmark. Right. It's like that girl that was like, yeah, you sent the video out, that Australian,
spin fire.
that preacher girl, or she's just like, oh, if you're going to church on Sunday and then like do for the rest of the week. So it's just like it's good that we have this. It's good that we have the Brotherhood of Christ meeting. It's good that we have Bible study, and it's kind of like peppered throughout the week because it's just like there's multiple opportunities to serve as a benchmark.
Yeah. I was thinking back, because he came to our company Christmas party this year, right? It's pretty much chill. But then I think back to a year ago, like at a company Christmas party, and just to put into perspective, like how life was, where I was a year ago, like. So we do our Christmas. It's like a Christmas lunch every year, and like last year, I think I racked up myself like a $500 tab just in booze, right? Not even like nobody else was even close, and to put it in perspective, everybody else is driving home, and I got blacked out, drunk, rapping in a Denny's parking lot at 1:00 in the afternoon, right? And the guy's still trying to show me the video from last year, and I can't even really bring myself to look at it. Oh, but fast forward to this year, and it was a good Christmas party, right? It was a good Christmas lunch. We was all chill. They didn't bring us to a place that even served alcohol this year, I think. In part, Jermaine got his Turkish coffee.
Yeah, it was good. It was good first time I ever tried it.
Yeah. I think I can finish my thought that I started here. It's people say just try harder, right? Be stronger. Okay, where are you gonna get that? On your own? Where are you just gonna sum it up inside yourself? I don't think you can. I don't know where it comes from. But this is a chance for me to plug my favorite verse that you guys know, but I'll prequel it. This is Philippians 4. I'll start at 12. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little. For I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. That's where your strength comes from. I believe absolutely 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the questions being like, are we overestimating willpower and underestimating environment? If our environment is surrounded by Christ-centered men with a similar goal, it's pretty hard to fall short. Right? Like Jermaine said, when my willpower is left unbridled, it's going any which way except for the straight. Right? So
I really like that verse as well, because it's like it speaks to that resiliency topic. It speaks to the endurance, and it's like, what type of endurance are we building? Like, I have learned to live with absolutely nothing, and I have learned to live with everything that's a result of all of this. And it's like we need to ask ourselves the question. I need to ask myself the question. It's like, now that I have a taste of a quality of life, do I want to live, even though I know I probably could, do I want that? To live with absolutely nothing, to be spiritually devoid, to have a fractured mental health state, to be broke and destitute and hungry. It's like, is that at even that point, like, having lived this, is that living, or is that just like subsisting day to day?
Yeah, no, I would say it's not living, right? Like, especially when we're looking at the end goal now as eternity, right? Like these are things that we need to do to achieve the goal of that. So I don't know, does that make sense? Like, without these spiritual gifts, the fruits of the spirit, like they talk about in, I think it's Galatians 5:20 or something like that. It's those are what we gain from being on this path, instead of the other things that like the language of Satan, which is lies and sarcasm, all sorts of different stuff, right? I learned about it on Monday. It was pretty cool. But just different, like, the stuff that's not along this path isn't good. So stay on this path and you get eternity. And that's pretty darn awesome.
Yeah, man, sarcasm. I haven't heard that bit.
It's starkly quiet on this rest of the room. I got it in my nose, so honestly, it's crazy.
You said that, and I wanted to duck.
I know. When Pastor John said it, I was like, really? Because, man, I think there's a lot of that flying around. But yeah,
I used to tell people like 90% of the stuff out of my mouth is sarcasm.
Pastor's like lying. I'm like, okay. He's like, adulterous thoughts. Okay. Sarcasm. No.
Yeah, like you said, the language of hell, sarcasm,
Oh.
negativity, accusing, blaming, lying, criticism, and then the language of heaven, it's comforting, it inspires, it's blessful, like it blesses people, right? Like, so
I'm 99% sure someone can pull from the scripture of Jesus being sarcastic.
Yeah. I think
I must be like,
100%
with a guys.
100% when he's on the boat and they're crossing the sea and the storms are brewing and everyone's like, oh my God, right? And he's just taking a nap and they're like, Jesus, wake up. And he's like, don't you know who you're with? Like
this is a perfect opportunity. So you guys comment on this part when you listen to this episode. I want to know if you think what you think about the sarcasm part of it. Like, I mean, I can see in certain ways, but I get how it's negative and it can be the language. But I think there might be different contexts of it. Let us know what you think on that part of it.
Jesus had bars. I know for sure. And you want to know how I know is because technically he's like olden day tradesman. Dude was a carpenter, right? There's no way you put in your time on a job site and you don't have some gas jokes. There's just no way that happens.
Where's our Jamie right now? Someone would be cool if someone could pull that up. But hopefully you guys in the comments will tell us.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a pretty good time to come to an end. Just before we close up, I just want to give a big shout out to the Ripple Center Church congregation for having me and Derek out on Saturday night. It was such a special time to get up there and tell a little bit about what we've got going on here with our podcast. And it's a smaller congregation, but the amount of love that we felt from you guys that night was just extraordinary. And taking us out for supper afterwards and just being overall wonderful people. It's people like you that make this worth doing. So thank you so much for that. All right, guys, we will see you next week.